Hello friends, welcome back to the shop. Today is Sunday, February 12th, and it's a typical winter day here in southeastern Pennsylvania. And it's nice to have a typical winter day because we've had some very unusual weather this past week. I believe it was Wednesday, we got up to 60 degrees. 60 degrees in February in southeastern PA is highly unusual. The next day we had between 2 and 3 inches of snow. Not unusual to get snow in February, but very unusual to get snow the day after it was 60 degrees. So it's been interesting, and I know there's been a lot of interesting weather across the country. I've heard from some of you over in Europe as well, and it's been cold a lot of places. So hope you're all staying warm, and if you're already warm, you're lucky. So today I wanted to talk a bit about tobacco that I've been enjoying, and I'm smoking right now, and this is my Marksman Jumbo, and the tobacco is, well, there's not really anything to show you here, just a cup of Joe bag, but the tobacco is Lane HGL, and yeah, I know it's an odd choice, but hear me out because there's some interesting stuff here. So Lane HGL, I'll show you the tobacco itself if you can see through the bag here. Not much to see. Typical ribbon cut Lane style tobacco. This bag was actually sent to me by Bona Piper. Thank you, Christian. And HGL was sort of the last tobacco in my quest for a replacement to number 10 Downing Street that you'll remember me babbling about probably about a month ago. And I had seen several people had mentioned to me, and I had seen on some forums and whatnot, that HGL was really number 10 Downing Street, or was very, very similar to it. HGL is actually an older Lane blend that was discontinued for a while and then was brought back. It is a bulk blend, and I don't believe it's available in tins. It's only available in bulk. And it's called HGL because HGL are the initials of Lane founder Herman G. Lane. And apparently, as the story goes, Herman Lane used to like to smoke a lot of Kia blends, but when he was smoking in his office and whatnot, people would complain about the smell of the Latakia. So he developed an aromatic Latakia blend, a crossover blend, if you will, to sort of deal with that. So it had a delightful room note, and he got all the Latakia that he needed, and everybody was happy. I don't quite believe that story in totality, simply because there's just not a lot of Latakia here. It's there, it's noticeable, but if somebody was really a Latakia lover and this was sort of their way of smoking it in public, if you will, this wouldn't do the trick. It's a very, very mild Latakia, but it's there, it's detectable. So it was apparently Herman G. Lane's daily smoke, though. So regardless of the reason he put it together, he did enjoy it. Now, it turns out that HGL is actually another Lane product, which is RLP6. Now, I personally have not smoked RLP6. I've heard it compared to 1Q. I have smoked 1Q and I don't like it. So I would assume that if people that smoke 1Q think RLP6 is very similar, I'm probably not going to like RLP6 very much. RLP6, I don't know what RLP stands for. I'd be interested to know if anyone does know. But RLP6 is an aromatic, and again, it's been compared to 1Q, if you're familiar with 1Q. It's also been compared to, I think, Captain Black White, I think. Anyway, so apparently HGL is actually RLP6 plus Latakia, and plus a relatively light dose of Latakia. And I've got to say, for hating 1Q, and I know that's a strong word, but I really do not like 1Q. And it sells a ridiculous amount, and people love it, and I'm glad that you can enjoy it. It's just not for me. But for really disliking 1Q, I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying HGL, since it's based on RLP. That's a lot of letters and numbers, so I'm going to stop doing that now. HGL is got the components written down here so I wouldn't forget them. So it's a toasted Cavendish, white Burley, yellow Virginia, a lot of Kia blend, and the Cavendish is a topped Cavendish, so it's flavored. I'm not very good at pulling out aromatic flavors. This definitely has and it's mild. It's not an overpowering top note like you'd get on most aromatics, but it's got probably a honey vanilla sort of flavor, and it goes very nicely with the Latakia. Very nicely. The Burley is quite prominent. The Virginias, I don't detect the Virginias at all in this blend. I'm sure they're there, but you don't get any of the sort of tangy, zesty notes that you often get with Virginias. This is a very smooth, mild crossover. And I've got to say, when I first lit it, first bowl that I smoked, I was immediately reminded of Bengal Slices, which is the tobacco of interest for me for the month of February, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about HGL, because while HGL is not by any stretch Bengal Slices, it's very reminiscent of Bengal Slices, and if you enjoy Bengal Slices, you might want to give this a shot. But before I recommend it to anyone, I want to say that it is a topped aromatic, and like other lean aromatics, to me it has that chemical flavor that you get with synthetically flavored aromatics. It's not strong in this blend. It's something that I can ignore and enjoy the tobacco in spite of that. But if you're someone that's very sensitive to that, like I am, you may want to avoid trying HGL. But if you're a bit more adventurous and you like blends like Bengal Slices, Northwoods, even something like Esoterica Soda Bed, this, again, it's not any of those, but it's reminiscent of those, and I find it to be a very enjoyable smoke. It has just enough Latakia to make you think English, but not. It's by no means a Latakia dominant blend. The Burleys are there. They're nutty and robust, and then the topping just ties it together nicely. So it was brought to my attention because people thought it would be a replacement for Number 10 Downing Street, and it's not. It's a very different beast. I mean, Number 10 Downing Street and HGL both have Burley, and they both have Latakia. Beyond that, I don't think there's a lot of similarities at all. Oh, they're both mild English, and they're both very smooth. But beyond that, I really would be hard-pressed to say they're in any way similar. They share common traits, but they're not close cousins. This tobacco is much closer to some of those other crossover blends I mentioned than it is to Number 10. But I got to admit, I did not think I would be making a video recommending a Lane bulk aromatic, but this is good stuff. I really do recommend you give it a shot if you're open to Latakia and a crossover aromatic. It's well worth trying. So I thought I did a video last week on how I turn the beginnings of a pipe stem on the the new metal lathe, and that got some nice replies and nice comments, and I really appreciate that. I got to be honest with you, it was a lot more people expressed interest and actually watched the video than I thought would. Just because it was very long and loud and somewhat repetitive, but I find myself watching machining videos all the time. There's something about them that just is kind of I don't know. You just fall into it, and almost, I hate to say addictive, but put you in a relaxed state when you can just sit there and watch the lathe tool going back and forth. I do the same with wood turning videos. I can watch those ad nauseum. So I've been working on making cob stems, and this is an example of an acrylic stem blank turned in the way you would have seen in that video, and ready for all the fun filing and sanding and shaping and whatnot. But what I wanted to show you that may be of interest to some of you lathe fans, is this little guy, or big guy. So this is a stem blank that I was making to attempt a long Churchill-like stem. Someone had requested a Churchill-like stem on a cob, and I thought, sure, why not? I've got the drill bits for that. I'll give it a shot. And you can see it all seemed to be going pretty well. And I started to make the last pass. This is the end that's clamped into the, sorry, let me set this down for a minute. So this is the end that's clamped into the chuck, so it's spinning, and I go to make the last pass, and I got a catch on the end here, and it's separated. So it just shattered right there and broke. And that was unfortunate, and I said a few unkind words. But then when I looked at it, I realized I was actually lucky, because I probably saved myself some additional work and heartache. Because what had happened is, if you can see where the hole was drilled there, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. There, I think it's showing up right there. That's not in the center at all. It's just simply not even close to centered. And that means that as I started to shape this, I would have sanded through the airway one way or the other, and it would have never, this never would have been a stem, is what it's coming down to. So why is that off center down there? It's clearly centered at this end. Well, the reason is that as you saw in that video, you drill in from this end, and this is a very long drill bit to get all the way down to here. And that drill bit is long and thin and flexible, and as it was going through the acrylic, it just decided to take a bit of a detour. I tried this twice and got the same results, so I am putting all long stems on hold while I take the time to figure that out. I don't know what the solution is. I know some of you are going to suggest drill halfway and then turn it around and drill the other half, and that is something I can do, and probably will wind up trying. The reason you don't do that in the first place is that once you take this out of the lathe and turn it, you're no longer concentric with your starting point. So the odds of you actually meeting in the middle are not 100%. So it just depends on how much. There's going to be some deviation the further away you get from the base of that drill bit. It's going to deviate, and it just depends on how much deviation there is there and how large the air hole is at that point where those two would intersect. But we'll give it a try. At any rate, I contacted the customer that had ordered this and said, you know, sorry, but this isn't going to happen anytime soon. And they said that's okay, make a normal length stem, which is what this is. So we'll see how they turn out. I've been making a lot of stems, and I'm really enjoying that, because one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a long time is to get better at stem making. You know, I'm okay at it. You've seen me do it. If you look at my stems, you'll say, oh, that's a pipe stem, which is a good thing. Because believe me, if you looked at the first one, you would not have said that. But it's really it's an art form in and of itself. There's a lot of pipe carvers that don't make their own stems because it does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of skill. But I view things like making stems for cobs to be skill builders. You know, I'm going to do my best on it, obviously, but each time I do it, I get a little bit better. I learn a few new tricks, and you know that allows me to improve what I'm doing every time I make one. So I've been making a lot of stems. It's somewhat tedious work. I think I mentioned this in one of the comments or something. This is actually the stem that I was working on in that video. So this is actually the piece that was turned in that video, and I don't have something small enough here, but if you look very closely, you'll see what happened was I got a little too aggressive and wound up drilling through. Excuse me, I'll see if I can get a pointer here. Wound up sanding through, I should say. There's a hole right there. So just there, that's falling into the hole right there. So I wound up sanding through the stem, which of course makes this a nice conversation piece, but nothing more than that. So it's these kind of things that really do help build the skills and you know, just allow me to get better and better at what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying that, and I'm glad that in my enjoyment of that, in my building of my skills, I'm not just sitting here doing it for myself, but I'm able to share that with other people. So that's my my shop update. And I did want to take a minute today before I sign off just to once again thank all of you for watching, but also I want to thank all of my subscribers in particular. I really appreciate you taking the time to click that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. It tells me that you want to see more, and it's one of the things that motivates me to come down here early on a Sunday morning and talk to myself for a little bit. That and my psychological need to do so. So anyway, thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, the button's right there. Would love to have you in the club. And related to that, you know, occasionally I try to remember to go and check out when people subscribe to me to see if they have videos and to see what's going on there. If you're making videos and I'm not subscribed to you, please let me know. I'd love to see what you're doing. If you've made a video and you think it's going to be of particular interest, let me know. I really do enjoy getting messages, private messages. It's no problem at all. It's great to hear from people, and really great to meet people, especially the new guys coming on board. And I will occasionally, as I see people that I think are interesting, or that are making videos that I think more people should be seeing, I'll occasionally mention those guys. And I do that because, you know, sometimes you look and you see the number of views and the number of subs that the guy's getting, and you think, wow, I'm surprised. This is a really good video. It doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of other really good videos. I don't mean to slight anyone in doing this, and I hope nobody takes it that way, which is why I started by saying, if you're making videos and I'm not watching them, let me know, because I'd like to be able to see those and to share them. But sometimes, like I said, I come across somebody that I want to give a shout out to just because I think they deserve more attention, and they're making great videos. And the guy I'd like to mention today and ask you all to go and check out is a guy who's going by the name of Frog333, and I believe his non-pirate name is Robert. Great guy, really nice, relaxed style of presenting, talks about some interesting stuff, shares some things about his life. Relatively new pipe smoker, but enthusiastic and really enjoying. And he's already begun to integrate into the YTPC quite nicely. He's made some friends already, and it's great to see that happening. So if you haven't seen Pirate Frog 333, go check him out. He's well worth the time you'll spend watching his channel. And I will put a link down below, and if I remember to do so, I'll put one upstairs as well. So, with that, I think I've covered all the bases that I wanted to cover today. In summary, HGL, it's worth a try. Don't make long stems. Go see Pirate Frog. So, I hope you all are having a great weekend, and I wish you all the best in the week ahead. And until we talk again, I will look forward to talking to you again very soon. Goodbye now.